I want to tell you about a psychology experiment that is mind-blowing. Listen carefully because this is going to apply directly to what you do with your life. There was a psychologist named Robert Rosenthal. He had been doing all kinds of experiments with expectancies and how they're manipulated. He got in touch with a high school principal and they concocted a story. Here's what it was. Robert Rosenthal from Harvard came to visit this school. The woman's name was Lenore Jacobson. She was the principal. And she introduced him as Robert Rosenthal from Harvard, who has developed a tool, an IQ test that measures IQs that are going to jump. You know, like kids who have the potential in the following year to make this big leap in IQ. Well, this was complete hokum, but it was interesting that it was tried. So Rosenthal was there, he gave them some kind of IQ test, and he left. In the fall, nothing more was said or nothing more was done. There was no training instituted or anything like that. In the fall, each teacher received, among all the other memos that were in their inbox, a one-sheet piece of paper that said, by the way, the results of Dr. Rosenthal's test showed this about the kids in your classroom, and 3 or 4 kids at random were chosen as the people whose IQ would jump. Guess what? At the end of the year, they remeasured the kids' IQs, and there were striking increases in IQ. And at that time, IQ was believed to be fixed. That's the history of IQ. In fact, why measure IQ if it isn't something that's real that's being measured? But incredibly, all these kids' IQs jumped. And not only that, everybody's IQ jumped. It's just that the kids who were selected, their IQ jumped more. Now, so they investigated with the teachers. What did you do different? Da 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 da. All the teachers said things like, "Oh, I forgot about that memo. I stuck it in my drawer and I didn't remember it anymore." Oh yeah, I remember that. I thought about that and I thought it was pretty cool. Some people said they didn't remember receiving it at all. And yet, their kids in their class increased in IQ. So here's what was going on. Teachers' expectancies were manipulated in a particular way that's a lot like a placebo effect. You know the placebo effect, you're given a medication. What it activates in you is an as-if phenomenon, a faith phenomenon. You're being given something and you're happy because you want a relief from your symptoms. You hope the medication is going to cure your problem, your ailment. And sure enough, the placebo effect is often stronger than the medication. And then they do something really crazy. They ignore the placebo effect and act like it's an artifact. They should be saying, how can we always increase the placebo value of any way we intervene? And that's the key for you. If you have somebody like me, I work with people all the time, teaching them how to shift their expectancies, how to have expectancies that open up this as-if window where all the power is for change. You can move to completely new arenas in what's possible. And just like the teachers, hardly know in a way that it's happening. Just by changing your beliefs, by having a different kind of faith about what can happen with you. And it's powerful, and it's concrete, and it's involved in very subtle things that are done. Sometimes I hear one word, and I take that word and I run all the way to the goal line, because that word gives away the way they've constructed reality. Maybe the way you've constructed reality is given away in 1 or 2 words or a phrase, and shoo, you can go right. It's like you know, in Star Wars when you gotta get right down that one little pathway on the Death Star in order to blow it out. I go in like that, and it's possible to do. And that little alteration in your expectancies makes all the difference in the world. It's Rosenthal and Jacobson redone for you. So it's a redux of Rosenthal and Jacobson in your personal life that changes you for the better. Since you're a high achiever, you may know about this. High achievers often hit a wall. They're going along, they're having one success after another, and then suddenly something happens and they grind to a halt. And it's confusing because they're not sure what it is they've done wrong, if it's anything. They just know that they're not moving anymore the way they're used to moving, the way they have moved in the past. If you've run into like what seems like a ceiling over you, and you're kind of in a fog and you're mystified as to what's getting in your way, you can even kind of slide into a swirl of doubts and wonder if you've ever really achieved anything significant at all, and whether any of your amazing achievements that you've done were anything but kind of fronting or a little bit of a fraud. That is really negative and pernicious, and it doesn't have to be that way. I want you to go get a free report from me. Go to drkenchristian.com/breakthrough and receive from me this free report with action steps that are going to tell you exactly what to do now to get you going.